I'm back. Welcome to my channel. I've been away for 2 weeks. I had a difficult week and a very good one, so everything is in balance again. And to make up for that difficult week, I went completely overboard. I bought way too many books. But is there such a thing as way too many books? I don't think so, no? No, huh? No, that's not possible. Too many books. Nah, we don't do that. So, there are a couple of things that I want to show you. In one of my previous posts, I talked about Joris Mertens. He's a graphic novel artist, and he has 2 graphic novels called Beatrice. That's this one. And this one is absolutely mind-blowing because it's a masterclass in show, don't tell. How? There's not a single word in this. Not a single word. It's absolutely stunning. Stunning. The way he draws, and it's so beautiful. So it's about a woman who works in some kind of store, a bit like the type of stores you have on Madison Avenue, and you know, the more fancy stores. She works there in the glove department, and every day she goes to work, and when she takes the train, she always sees a red bag, and it remains untouched. And after a couple of days, she can't hold her curiosity anymore, and she takes the bag. And she looks inside the bag. And then something magical happens. And it changes her life forever. So that's the only thing I can tell you about this graphic novel, besides that it's so well drawn. If you have to, I just like it. It's a bit of it reminds me of Le Fabuleux Destin d'Amélie Poulain, or in America better known as Amélie Poulain, the movie, and it also reminded me of A Portrait of Dorian Gray. It starts off as really romantic, and it ends up being very gothic. So it's really worth your while. Beatrice. And don't worry if you don't speak French or Dutch. There's not a single word in it, just the title. That's it. His latest album is a little bit more thicker, again with a red bag. Here there's a little bit more copy in it. It also exists in French and of course in Dutch, but it's so beautiful. Let me show you. There's something I want to show you, like how he shows. Look at this. Look at it. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? How can you tell a story without telling anything? Just show it. So this is about a guy who probably was married in a long past but didn't have children. And he has a friend, a lady friend, who has a daughter, and he's really fond of them. They don't have a relationship, but you know, there's something is growing, you know, and he really is fond of the little girl, and he really wants to be a dad for her. And the woman is, of course, also single. Or a single mom, and he works at at a sort of dry cleaners, and he drives around. He does the home deliveries, and at a certain point he arrives at a sort of a castle somewhere in the middle of the woods. It's raining, it's a thunderstorm, and he wants to do his pickup of a couple of shirts and whatever. And he sees that something horrible has happened in that castle. And then the story moves on. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. If you want to read it in French, it's translated in Nettoyage à sec by Joris Mertens. Oh, sometimes with those reds. Beautiful, huh? You can see that there's not much text in it. Yeah, it's so good, so good. Then I got a lot of stuff, and I've read a lot of stuff too. This is something I've read in a Dutch translation, but it also exists in English. It's, of course, it's written by Marcus Rediker, and it's called The Slave Ship. And it's the story, and the subtitle is a story about people. It is about the slave trade and all that evolves around the slave ship. And he describes the horrible experiences from all angles. So from the angle of the slave, from the angle of the captain, of the trader, of the people who work on the slave ship, of the surgeon who is aboard, all kinds of people. And you see how immensely affected they are by it, by the atrocities they have to watch and sometimes even force upon those people. And it's really amazing. It's goosebumps. Really try to read this one. It's The Slave Ship, and the story about people. The Slave Ship by Marcus Rediker. It's really good. I read The Friend by Sigrid Nunez. I really liked it. It's about a woman who loses her best friend. And she really mourns for him, but she inherits his dog, and it's not exactly a Chihuahua, it's a Great Dane. And she lives in a small apartment. And while she gets to learn how to live with that Great Dane, she comes more and more into terms with her own grief, and it's a beautiful book, absolutely worth your while. It's a quick read. The Friend by Sigrid Nunez. She won the National Book Award. I don't really follow those things. I've read a lot more, but I haven't prepared anything because I really felt the need to oh yeah, this one I had read also. It's called The Nine by Glen Strauss. It's about nine nine women who were in the resistance in Germany, and they were captured by the end of the Second World War, and they survived Auschwitz, I believe, and while they were put on the death march, they could get away. And for the courage and the dedication and the grandness of those women, I give 5 stars. Unfortunately, the book isn't very well written, and especially not very well put together. So yeah, it's a great story, badly told, unfortunately. So yeah. Then I went very overboard with the books that I've bought. I've been to So I did a little road trip. I went to some bookstores in Belgium, then I went to some bookstores in Holland or the Netherlands, and then I went to some bookstores in Germany. And I noticed that the books in Holland are way more expensive than than in Belgium, and that the books in Germany are way less expensive than in Belgium. So yeah, there's a difference. So I bought what's it called? Oh, no, they put it always in the back. I hate that. From Cathy Page. The original title is Dear Evelyn. And it's called All Our Years in Dutch. It's a story about a marriage of about 70 years and how, yeah, they were very different, Harry and Evelyn. And Evelyn is very independent and very powerful, and he is she's a bit of a bulldozer, and he's very timid and refined, and he loves his art and his nature and literature. And this book is about well, you have to, if you want to be happy, you have to really work for it. So I thought it was really interesting, and I don't know if you have seen that before, but it's with a double cover. I don't know why. This is one cover, and then you could change the flap into this. I don't think that's a better cover. This is, for me, too cheesy. I don't like cheesy kissing couples covers. Not my thing. Then I bought from Shirley Hazzard The Transit of Venus. It's the story of two orphans, the sisters Caroline and Grace Bell, and it's about how they grow up and how their lives intertwine and go out and go separate ways. They go their separate ways and they come together. And Caro is the most impulsive one, and she gets into trouble all the time, and Grace is more calm and quiet and has a steady relationship, well, on the surface. So yeah, I'm really curious to read this. Born in Sydney, grew up in Hong Kong and New Zealand. And then she worked for the British Secret Service and for the United Nations in New York and Naples. She had a deep friendship with Graham Greene. Curious. Really good one. I really love this cover. Oh, it's very tactile. So this is you can touch it, and the cover is very velvety. It really feels like an acrylic painting or a oil painting. It's called Eartheater by Dolores Reyes, and it's translated from Spanish, I believe, by Julia Sanchez. Yes. It's an electrifying and provocative, powerful novel about a young woman whose compulsion to eat earth gives her visions of murdered and missing people. Why not? Eartheater. Yeah. Then, a non-fiction book. The Coddling of the American Mind. I really thought it was interesting. It's how good intentions and bad ideas are setting up a generation for failure. That's all I know, and that's all I need to know to start reading this one. I got another non-fiction book, but I will come to that link. Oh, here it is. Need I say more? Surrounded by Idiots, the runaway international bestseller by Thomas Erikson, The 4 Types of Human Behavior, or How to Understand Those Who Cannot Be Understood. I'm curious to read more about this because I like working with people, and sometimes there are people that you really can't grasp, and maybe this book will help me a little to understand people more. Then I found my old love, one of my most favorite books. It's in my top 5 of books that I've read in my entire life. It's called The Wall by Marlen Haushofer. Glad I find it back. I lost it. Then I also found in for €5. It's Walk Through Walls by Marina Abramovic. It's a memoir. I'm quite fascinated by Marina Abramovic because there's on YouTube, there's an hour and a half long documentary between her and Olaf. Her and Olaf, yeah, it's Olaf, I think, her previous husband. And they both did some very excellent artwork, very thought-provoking and very vulnerable stuff. And it's not my favorite kind of work. I'm not very into modern art or contemporary art or body performances, or how do they call it? I don't know. I'm not very, very into art. Well, I am, but not this kind of art. But I'm mesmerized by this person since that I saw that documentary. It's on YouTube, the entire documentary. Then I also bought Sorrowland by River Solomon. River Solomon is, well, I've consumed this book before via audiobooks, and it's really well done, but I really wanted to reread it especially if it's in a different language. You always miss stuff, always, and that's why when I watch TV, and when I watch the BBC or whatever, I always put on the subtitles, not only to understand, but to see how the dialogue is written and stuff. I find that really interesting. In this book, there are also excerpts from Giovanni's room and such. It's really... So this is Vern, a hunted woman alone in the woods, gives birth to twins and raises them away from the influence of the outside world. But something is wrong, not with them, but with her own body. It's changing, it's stronger, it's not normal. So this book is about a woman who lives in a sort of a commune, and but she feels that things aren't okay, and she flees into the woods and gives birth there and to a twin. But she feels that she's been followed in the woods, and it's sort of a hunt between those two. It's gothic fiction at its best. Sorrowland by River Solomon. Then I also bought by Clarice Lispector her letters. She has written between 1940 and 1959. It's her letters to her sisters, and her sisters Tatjana Kaufman and Elisa Spector, and it's about how she works on her oeuvre. I know you guys call it oeuvre. It's apparently something really worth reading, and I love to read about how writers work. And yeah, I always look at documentaries about writers, and if I can read a book about how they write and how they work, it's really amazing, I think. Then I also bought poems from Louise Gluck, Averno. I've read a couple and I'm a bit underwhelmed for now. I'm not so sure about this one, but yeah. Charles Bukowski, you get so alone at times that it just makes sense. And that's his poetry, about his cat mostly. And yeah, really curious to see if we are a fit. And then this is also Bukowski. I bought that for a couple of euros. And another one somewhere. I bought two Bukowskis. But doesn't matter. Yeah. Also, there's a Dutch lecturer who made a collection of texts by Fernando Pessoa, and he, yeah, it's amazing. Oh, it's so good, but you can't. It's only in Dutch for now. Yeah. Then I also bought, I don't know why, Pillow Thoughts by Courtney Peppernell. It's a bit cheesy for the things that I've read now, but hey, we'll continue reading. In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. In the Dream House, and it's about all-consuming love relationship between two women, and she writes about the whole period, but in an essay form, from the first meeting till the very and it goes very quickly, very badly. The relationship becomes more and more violent along as they progress. Sounds like an Amber Heard story. Then I also bought, and I think it's beautiful, the Radetzky March by Joseph Roth. Joseph Roth was an Austrian author, and he wrote this in 1932. And it's about a person called Karl Josef Trotta, and he's a grandson of a lieutenant who saved at a certain point the German emperor's life, and for that he has been rewarded with a title. It's really more about the Germany just in between wars and how it has evolved. Look at this. Look at this. I really like it. It's throughout the book. Beautiful. I really like it. And I really like Joseph Roth. The first book I read from him was Hotel Savoy. Yeah, I'm curious to see. It has been retranslated in Dutch, and yeah. Look at that. Huh. Radetzky March. In Germany, the Radetzky March is one of the most important books of their history, and it's for many readers, it's the melancholic longing for a world of yesterday. It really is about the start of Nazism and all the bad things that went on there. In Germany, I love that bookstore. No, I bought it in Holland. Oh, I loved it. The Tribune in Holland. I bought the Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky. So yeah, no need to explain what is it about. And then another Bukowski, which was a $2 book, Pulp. Yeah, that's it. Oh no, this one. This one has been a bestseller in the States for a very long time, but it's only recently been translated, and it's the original title is "We Keep the Dead Close: A Murder at Harvard and a Half-Century of Silence" by Becky Cooper. So it's about it's a true crime book in 1969. Harvard student Jane Britton is found murdered under mysterious circumstances. Well, if you're murdered, it's always mysterious, I guess. Then 30 years later, when Becky Cooper studies at Harvard, the students still tell the story of Jane Britton. And she would have had an affair with her young, handsome anthropology teacher. And he would still teach there. So yeah, I don't know nothing about the story, nothing at all. So I'm really curious to read it, probably well known in the States. But yeah, Becky Cooper, what was it? We Keep the Dead Close: A Murder at Harvard and a Half-Century of Silence. I won't be bored the next couple of months, I think. Or weeks. Months. Months. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching, and have a good time, and enjoy your reading. Bye-bye.